Recorded Books and RB Digital present Clicked by Tamara Ireland Stone. Narrated by Susie Jackson. Saturday. Chapter 1. Clicked. Allie Navarro, 20 users. Allie tightened her grip on her phone as she stepped out from behind the curtain and walked to the center of the stage. She looked out into the Fuller University auditorium. The room was packed with people, and all but 3 of them were complete strangers. Speak clearly, she silently reminded herself. Smile. Relax. Do it exactly the way you've practiced. Allie looked down and spotted her parents in the front row. Her mom waved. Her dad gave her a thumbs up. Sitting next to her mom was her middle school computer science teacher, Ms. Slade. She had helped Allie get into the highly selective Code Girls summer camp by working with her on her application, essay, and sample game. Allie smiled at her and mouthed the words, "Thank you." Miss Slade smiled back as she brought her palms together. Then the lights dimmed and a spotlight shined down, warm on Allie's skin, blinding her. She was relieved that she could no longer see Miss Slade. It helped her keep her mind off the real reason her favorite teacher was sitting in the audience. Allie realized she was fidgeting with her phone, so she tucked it into the back pocket of her jeans and forced herself to stand taller. She took a deep breath, and then she began. On the first morning here at Code Girls Camp, our instructor told us we had a whole summer to create any kind of app or game we wanted. Anything. Something just for fun. Something that would solve a real-life problem. It was entirely up to us. I loved that. Allie leaned forward and brought one hand to the side of her mouth, like she was telling them a big secret. That hardly ever happens to 7th graders in real life, you know. The audience laughed. But I admit, Allie continued, on that first morning, I wasn't sure I was ready for that kind of challenge. I was way too busy being terrified, because I didn't know a single person. Allie began pacing the stage. Her legs were shaky, and she hoped the audience couldn't tell. I kept looking around the room at these girls, 19 total strangers I'd be spending my whole summer with, and wondering who they were. Did we like the same music? Did we read the same books? Did they have sisters or brothers? Where were they from? I knew we had one thing in common. We were coders. But everything beyond that was a total mystery. She glanced over to the side of the stage and relaxed a little when she saw her friend Courtney hiding behind the curtain, wearing a huge grin and nodding encouragingly. Allie returned to the center of the stage. And that's when the idea hit me. Why not an app that could help you make new friends? You know, something to tell you who you clicked with. As she said the word clicked, she snapped her fingers. Allie pulled her phone from her pocket and waved it in the air. For my summer project, I created a game called Clicked. She loved the name. She thought it was a catchy way to describe what the app did. The logo zoomed open on the huge projection screen behind her, and Allie glanced over her shoulder. She beamed every time she saw it. She couldn't help herself. She loved the soft blue background and the white, pencil-thin swirls that formed 2 stick figures with their arms around each other. Let me demonstrate how it works. This auditorium seats 220 people. I assume most of you don't know each other, she said jokingly, and beyond the glare, she could see people looking around and shaking their heads. What if I told you there was one person in this room right now who had more in common with you than with anyone else? Allie held her finger up in front of her. One person who, statistically speaking, you have more in common with than anyone else. Of course, you could leave this room and never know who that person is, but Allie leaned forward, resting her hands on her knees and crinkled her nose.
To keep listening to this audiobook, I've left you a link in the description so you can do it, at no cost thanks to Audible's 30-day free trial.